the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
Hey, all right, here we go. Welcome to Marriage Unhindered. Happy to be with you this evening. Hope you had a great day. And all right, we're going to get a little touchy-feely today, I think. So we're going to talk about emotional connections in marriage, right? The role that emotions play, how important it is to have good, solid emotional connections. And can a marriage survive without deep emotional connection? Maybe not. But here's probably the real question for a lot of folks. Can you regain emotional connection once you've lost it? So many couples end up in my office after they've lost that emotional connection, or they've lost, a significant piece of it anyway. So we're going to take a deep look today at emotional connection. And strong emotional attachments were probably a very driving force behind the desire to marry the person that you're now married to. But over time, that emotional connection can weaken and develop some cracks. So today we're going to explore why emotional connections can weaken, what gets in the way, what harms them, and look at how we can breathe new life into the emotional aspects of our marriage. So I think, unless you're saying, man, my spouse and I, my wife, my husband, we are like emotionally really glued well together, I think you'll find some important ideas in today's show that you can take with you, right? So how do I connect emotionally with my spouse? And this comes off of a Gottman blog, and I think the advice there is pretty solid, generally speaking. So here we go. Building a strong emotional connection with your spouse is crucial for a fulfilling relationship. Makes sense, but it's not always easy to know where to start, right? It seemed to happen automatically, almost by magic when you first started dating, but now all of a sudden it can seem a little bit tougher, right? Research shows that understanding and nurturing your emotional connection can help you better navigate the challenges of marriage, build trust between the two of you, and foster intimacy. Engaging in healthy communication patterns, shared activities, and gratitude can also significantly enhance emotional ties. In short, working on your emotional connection will bolster your connection and build goodwill. So even during tough times, your connection stays strong. In fact, with strong emotional connection, you get even stronger during the tough times. Okay? All right, so your emotional connection is the foundation of your marriage. I don't know any other way to say it that's pretty clear. Without strong emotional connection, you just don't have much of a marriage, unfortunately. And it's more than just being together, right? Occupying the same space. It's about shared experiences and a bond that reaches below the surface. Emotional intimacy happens when partners can trust each other with their inmost thoughts and feelings. Let me repeat that. Emotional intimacy happens when spouses can trust each other with their inmost thoughts and feelings. That level of intimacy is really scary because, man, when you're that intimate, you're that vulnerable, you can really get hurt because you're kind of wide open there. Right? So they know they can rely on each other even during difficult times. I would say especially during difficult times. And they choose each other each day, right? So they build and nurture their emotional connection every single day. Now, emotional intelligence plays a role in establishing this bond. It requires recognizing and managing your own emotions. That's part one of emotional intelligence. And number two, being attuned to your partner's emotional state, emotional place at that time. Okay? So you need two things. You need to be attuned to what's going on with you emotionally, but you also need to be aware of your spouse and where they are, right? And how the things you say or do will affect your spouse's emotions. So creating a safe space where each partner can share their thoughts, dreams, and fears is essential. Knowing that your spouse supports you and really cares about your inner world is crucial to a healthy emotional connection. So safety, the way I say it, safety is foundational. If there's no safety, there's no marriage. There's hell. That's just, there's no safety in hell. And if there's no safety in your marriage, that can very well be a marriage from hell. It can be that difficult and that painful, right? So what are some of the key elements of a strong emotional connection? I think there's 5 of them. At least I agree with the Gottman report here. So first, number 1 is trust. The foundation of every lasting relationship. Trust is what everything else is built on, right? So without trust, you got nothing. Which is why things like affairs, emotional affairs, or financial misdealings are so destructive because they go right to the heart of trust. And if you knock out that trust pillar in a marriage, you just don't have much left. Trust is built through consistency and reliability, through showing up for each other in both calm and difficult times. When trust is strong, both spouses feel secure enough to grow and take emotional risks together, right? So, how do you know if you have trust in your marriage? You can be open and honest without fear. Notice the word there, without fear, right? If you are living in fear, that's not an emotionally safe place to be. So there shouldn't be, and it's hard to go through life without fear. I mean, it's the most powerful emotion we have. And fear, obviously, is the emotion that keeps us alive. If it weren't for fear, we'd walk out into traffic or we'd go pet a bear. That would be bad. Or we'd, walk down dark alleys in really bad neighborhoods. That wouldn't work out real well, right? So fear is a good thing, but there shouldn't be fear in a marriage that my heart isn't safe, right? I should not fear that my heart is vulnerable. So how do you know if you have trust? Well, okay, so you can be open and honest without fear. You don't have to filter your thoughts or hide your emotions. You can get right out there with them. You can open your heart, your mind, your mouth to your spouse, knowing that you will be accepted, affirmed, and appreciated for who you are and where you are right now emotionally. You know your partner has your back, right? So you know that your partner is, the way I talk about it is your safe harbor. Your partner is the place you can turn to when things aren't going well and you need a safe place to land. That's where you can go. And then finally, you have a sense of safety, right? And safety is so critical in all human relationships. We need to be safe. So there you go. Number 1, trust. Number 2, respect. Hugely important, especially for husbands, but very much so for wives as well. Having respect for your spouse means valuing his or her individuality and feelings while honoring the differences that make him or her unique. It's about seeing your spouse as a whole person, not someone to change or to manage. That's really important. And that's where criticism and contempt come in. Those two destructive factors in a marriage are about change. I want to change you. And if I criticize you or get angry and yell at you, well, then you'll change, and then I'll be happy. Well, that's not about respect. That's more about manipulation. Now, that doesn't mean that if your spouse is doing something that hurts you, you shouldn't have a conversation about it. For sure you should, but a gentle conversation, not one of criticism or contempt, right? When couples treat each other with respect, they create an environment where both people feel seen, heard, and appreciated. I think I like to emphasize that word, appreciated. And I'm seen, like, you see me. You acknowledge me. I'm not invisible in the room, right? You listen to me when I speak, and through all of that, I know that you appreciate who I am as a unique, irrepeatable human being. That kind of mutual care creates the space where real emotional closeness can develop, right? So how do you know if you have respect in your relationship? Well, number 1, you value each other's differences and opinions. So actually, especially when you don't agree, but I value you, and so I value all about you, your opinions and those things about you that are different for me, because that's what makes life so interesting. You treat one another with kindness, even if you disagree. I would say, especially if you disagree. I mean, who can't be kind to someone who, you're getting along with perfectly, right? But when you disagree, you have a difference of opinion about something, that you're kind, right? You say things like, hey, tell me more about that, right? And one of the really powerful findings that Gottman's research has shown is that it's not fighting that destroys marriages. It's not fighting that harms marriages. It's the way you fight. And couples who have good marriages, sustainable marriages that last a lifetime, are able to disagree but still be kind. They're able to argue but not fall into contempt or name-calling or devaluing. They can argue in a way, they can disagree without becoming disagreeable, right? So kindness, even when you disagree, is a really important part of respect. And finally, your relationship feels balanced and secure, where you both matter equally, where I feel that I am as important to you as I know you are to me. Number 3, empathy, right? Having empathy means being attuned to what your spouse is feeling. It begins with listening, not to fix or correct, but to understand. That's the key thing. So often we listen to what our spouse has to say because now I've got to refute that or point out where they're wrong or figure out what I need to do to change their mind. That's not empathy. That's manipulation, right? That's persuasion at its worst, okay? It's about listening to understand, right? Again, like say, tell me more. I'm not sure I understand what you're getting at. Could you say it differently? Or by restating what your spouse said, did I get this right? Did I hear you correctly? When you do that, man, you really validate each other's emotions and you build emotional attunement. You get this sense that, well, you get me, you understand me, you know where I'm coming from, right? And that keeps love close and very secure, especially important when you're disagreeing about things. Empathy transforms tension into understanding and turns conflict into connection. Conflict isn't bad. In fact, it can be very good because conflict opens a window of understanding if I do it the right way. It helps me to learn more about you, what's important to you, what you value, what you love, right? What strikes deep into your soul as a person. And I think that's a really important thing, right? So when I talk about the idea of seek first to understand, right? Empathy says your thoughts, your feelings are important to me. It goes beyond mere understanding. It also goes to affirming the validity of our spouse's emotions. You know, you could tell me if somebody possesses empathy if you hear them say such things as, well, it makes perfect sense to me that you would feel that way. Or, of course you were hurt by that comment that the clerk at the grocery store made. I would have been hurt as well. One of the challenges with empathy is that most of us are uncomfortable around negative emotions. So we have a tendency to say things like, well, it'll be okay, or, hey, just get over it and move on. Those phrases show a lack of empathy and point out that the person saying those things is really very uncomfortable with negative emotions. All right, number 4, communication. It's not just about talking, it's about listening with awareness and responding with care. Open, honest conversations paired with regular emotional check-ins, very important, help prevent misunderstandings and builds trust. When couples communicate well, they stay connected even through stress and change, continually reinforcing their emotional bond. Communication. That's number 4. If you find yourself tentative or tiptoeing around a conversation with your spouse, that is an indication that you have some communication challenges. I like the idea of having regular emotional check-ins, but man, that takes real courage because you might receive feedback that you don't want to hear. Some good questions to ask are, what have I said or done lately that has left you feeling hurt? What can I do to help you feel more emotionally safe with me and in our marriage? And then lastly, number 5, friendship. That lies at the heart of lasting love. The laughter, shared memories, and mutual enjoyment that make being together feel easy and joyful. Strong friendships within marriage creates a sense of us, a partnership grounded in appreciation and affection. Remember those 2 A words, appreciation, affection. When friendship thrives, love feels lighter, safer, and more resilient against life's challenges. Now, how do you know if you have friendship in your marriage? Well, you laugh together. You share experiences. You enjoy being with each other. You do things together. And you genuinely enjoy each other's company. You make time for fun and connection, even in small ways. You play together, and you have adventures together. You seek each other out in a crowded room. I love that one. You're at a cocktail party, reception somewhere, whatever, and, the women are in the kitchen and the men are in the family room, and you kind of go looking for each other once in a while. Or you're at opposite ends of the same room and you catch each other's eye and you smile or you wink. That's friendship. I want to be with you. I want to seek you out. This entire episode of Marriage Unhindered is on the updated Relevant Radio app. The Relevant Radio app is completely free and updated daily with fresh articles, podcasts, and prayers.